Just before we start the podcast, we would like to invite you to get a copy of our new book called Living from Your Art. You can find it on any Amazon platform. You will see it's a very bright colored orange and yellow book cover, and it was made for you artists because you help us live in a better world. We want to help you get more work. So thank you so much, and let's start this podcast.
Woo-hoo! Hello everyone, we are live. Boom! Oh, music, okay, music. We have a new jingle. Hello everyone, so happy to have you back for another episode of the Puppet Podcast. I'm Caroline. I'm doing this podcast with a lot of passion and enthusiasm. And I have this beautiful lady today, like she's trying to be a puppeteer. Let's see how it goes. Hey, so yes, today I have the honor to connect with the UK. So that's why it's in the afternoon with the wonderful Chelsey. So yeah, we will go in this interview really soon. But I just want to let you know that we have a lot of activity. As the jingle said, we have a book going out. And yeah, we have the Patreon. So we create a lot of stuff for puppeteers, for artists, to help artists, like in general, to live from their art and to put the spotlight on art because artists change the world. So yeah, so now that's the time, drum roll, for the wonderful Chelsey Lee.
Hello.
I think I missed the photo. I didn't change the name on this one, but
I know, it's okay. It's just because my middle name's Jenna, so everyone always says Chelsea Jenna, but actually my name is Chelsey Lee, so either is fine, really.
Perfect. I'm so happy you accept the invitation to be part of the Puppet Podcast. So Chelsey, the first thing I ask every puppeteer, I could do a big intro of you with a violin, but I want you to present yourself to the community who are watching right now.
Well, it's really funny actually, because I've been following you guys for ages. So when you messaged me about coming on the podcast, I thought, oh my God, that's so cool. But yeah, so I'm Chelsey. I'm a puppeteer and puppet maker, and I'm based in the UK. That's my dog, who's vouching for me. She's just barking.
You want to be in the show?
He wants to be in the show, yeah. He's barking at the dog. But yeah, and I'm from the Northwest originally, but at the moment I'm based in Brighton.
That's so cool. So yeah, I saw your bio. You come from like theater, physicality, all of that is part of your work. I want to know the deep question. Why do you cherish puppetry?
I think, so before I went to drama school, I was really juggling whether or not I wanted to go down like fine art. So I've always been a maker, even from a very young age, you know, arts and crafts and all that. And I also love performing, and I really wanted to do both, and I couldn't decide. And I decided to go down the performing route. And then when I found puppetry, it sort of married the two together. You know, I realized that I could puppet make, I could puppeteer, and all of the costume and set and everything that's involved in it. So that's the main reason why I absolutely love puppetry. And just because it's a really versatile form. I mean, you can use it anywhere, you can use it in any way. Yeah, I just love it. I think it opens up the stage to so many different, you know, dimensions than regular acting, really.
That's wonderful. I love that aspect, and that's true. The fact that you have the set, the building aspect, and also the interpretation of the character is so key. And I want some anecdote, Chelsey, about your past, maybe like the moment where you just discover, like, yeah, I want to do that. Like when your crush for puppetry happened.
Well, it's weird. So my very first puppet that I had, I was super young, and it's called a gopher. Do you know a gopher puppet?
Not really, but it's
So it's like
maybe
a super old puppet. It's basically like Flat Eric. I don't know if you know Flat Eric, but it's this like yellow. It's a lip sync puppet, but obviously me as a toddler did not know what lip sync was or anything like that. So that was like my first. I had this gopher puppet and I loved it. And my grandparents brought me up a lot. So my granddad would, teach me how to tell the time with the puppet. So there's lots of key events in growing up that happened with this puppet. It was really sweet. And I guess I've always watched, I've nearly forgot then the name of it, but Fraggle Rock, Jim Henson's Fraggle Rock. Oh, I love that. That was, I can still do the little do of the theme tune to it. And Dinosaurs that he did as well. I really like watching that. So I guess that was my first ever introduction to puppetry. But I mean, we all puppeteer even from a young age, don't we? Like, you must know with your toddler, like there's a bunch of 3-year-olds that are puppeteers and they don't even realize. I guess we're all puppeteers, really. It's just like understanding like what it actually is an art form, and then you're like, oh my god, I've been doing this all my life, basically.
Yeah, I want to hear you actually on your own definition of a puppet, because every practitioner have different definitions. So I want to hear yours.
I guess my definition is super simple. It's just something that you can bring to life and something that you can tell a story with.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
I love it. Sometimes it's a long answer, but yeah, story.
No, that's it. Literally, like you can pick anything up and make it a puppet. It's not that deep. Like, it's just very much just bringing something to life and suspending that disbelief when you watch it.
Yeah, and I want to hear you on your background, because I always ask the best field of study, what it is to become a puppeteer. Like, what is your opinion on that?
There's so many avenues that you can go down now, to become a puppeteer. So I went to East 15 Drama School and I did physical theatre. So we learned all sorts of different things like clown, mime, and we did a module on puppetry. And then I realised that I loved it. And from that, once I graduated, I created my own theatre company and I just started making shows. And then I think one of the most important things of my career that I did was I, would research and go see shows. I would find out like who in the UK is best known for puppetry. And then I would email them and let them know that I want to work for them. I have this experience. I need to learn more. And that's really what got my career going was, a bunch of emails to a bunch of amazing artists. And then it's that, that one or two companies that say yes and then let you through the door, and that was it, really. So I think determination is key, whatever route you can go down. But there's amazing like puppetry schools now, like the Curious School of Puppetry in London. I've heard wonderful things about that. So yeah, I think there's lots of different avenues, but I think like not giving up is the main thing, to bear in mind if you're going to pursue the career.
Wow, that's so well said. And in the audience, we have arts and smile and people who talk to each other, but talent is named right there. And for sure, I think what you said is so key. The fact of sending email to people you admire and say, I want to work with you. Like, this is key in a career, because you learn from others, and that's so intelligent too, that you have done this.
Yeah, you just have to ask. I think a lot of people are too scared to ask, and then, nothing happens and opportunity isn't going to come to you. Like, you've got to go and find it. So I think that my parents always taught me that if you want something, you have to go get it and chase it down. So yeah, and that ended up, after years of the hustle, ended up, paying off. So yeah.
That's so great. And I want to hear you also, Chelsey, on your big purpose. Like, every puppeteer have like something he envision for the future, something you want to achieve or do or create. So what is your like biggest purpose in front of you?
I guess, me as an artist, I've got so many goals, and the bar always, keeps rising, doesn't it? So, where I was 5 years ago to where I am now, I would never have even dreamed of it. You know, I'm super happy with how my career is going, but now I've got like all these other things that I want to achieve. I think I've always had this dream as a kid to be involved with the National Theatre in London. So either to perform or to build something there, you know, puppet making or puppeteering, whatever it is. I just really want to be able to have done something at the National. So that's one of my biggest goals, definitely.
Wow, this is great. Yeah, for sure. And do you like, it's kind of a funky question, but do you prefer building like the time in your like shop, or you prefer on stage? Like, do you have like some aspect? It's kind of tough to answer. I know.
You know, a lot of people ask this and they're always like, which one do you prefer? And I just love both for what they are. And I want to do both. And I think puppet making, it's quite, it has stability, you know, because it's a Monday to Friday job. And then obviously you have to work late nights and stuff and weekends occasionally when it's near the end of a project. But that's much more of a stable job. So that really helps me if I just want to sort of, you know, be involved in a project and that be it, and, you know, make something with my hands. It's very satisfying, puppet building. And you know, puppeteering and going on tour, you know, it's you're jet setting about the, you know, the country or going to different countries, and that in itself is amazing, and you're meeting lots of different people. So it really, I mean, as a freelancer, you know, we kind of take what we get, don't we? But if I could pick and choose, I want to do both. I just love them both just as much, really.
That's so great, because I always met passionate people, and that's true that to make a choice, it's kind of like that's not the thing. Let's do both. Let's do everything.
And there's loads of artists that have all sorts of, you know, names under their belt. You know, they could be a producer, a director, and all this stuff. So it's very common, isn't it? Like, it's all part of the parcel of being an artist, I guess. Like, we're always doing 5 million different things. And I guess that's what I love doing. And, you know, that's
that's creativity. And do you have like themes that you like to develop, like subject or story or specific aspect that you feel it's your color?
Oh, that's a really good question.
That's out of the script. Sorry.
I'm like, that wasn't part of it.
I often like create new questions because it's so interesting what you do.
I'm going for it. Do you know what? As a kid, I was a bit of a tomboy. So I was quite loud in my teens, and I was into like all this gothic makeup, and I was into like metal music. And I felt growing up, you know, there was a lot of backlash in high school to the way I was, because it was just, you know, there was no examples of like that kind of kid for me to watch and think, oh, those kind of kids do exist. So I think like one of the first ever shows my theatre company made, it was called Wild Wilma, and that really resonated with me, because I think that, you know, little girls and just kids in general are always taught to be a certain way, you know, specific to their gender. So I get really passionate about letting kids know that it's okay to be sensitive if you're a boy. And if you're a girl, you know, you can climb trees and hurt yourself and get muddy. And if you're confused, that's okay. You know, just keep going. So I think that's something that I'm, definitely really passionate about when it comes to creating shows.
Yeah, the unicity of every human being. It's so interesting. And I want to hear you on the future. Like, where do you see puppetry, like in 10 years?
I mean, a lot of people are scared of the future and like how it's going and stuff, and like rightly so. But I'm excited for puppetry in the future. I think there's some pretty epic things happening, you know, like with Life of Pi when I was puppet making on it, and the puppeteers that were puppeteering the tiger. Richard Parker, they just won a Olivier Award. I don't think I've ever heard of a puppet ever, winning an Olivier Award. And then, when I was working with Nick Barnes on it, we won Best Puppet Design. It was just amazing. It just doesn't happen. So for me, I'm excited for the future. I think that puppets are going to become less niche, more of a thing. I mean, we're seeing them everywhere now at the moment. Like Little Amal, who was at Glastonbury Festival. I think there's just, lots of opportunities to come, I guess. And all the technology and stuff, obviously, that's going to become super popular. But in the puppet making world, sometimes that's super helpful, because recently on the Pie Puppets, Nick does this amazing thing now where he scans the puppet so that when we then stick all the foam together to sculpt it, the basic shape is already worked out. As for when we did the show a few years ago and we're building the puppets for it, it would take so long for us to work out what the sculpt is going to look like, and now it's like a computer can help in that. So I'm grateful in a way. It helps me in the workshop, definitely.
Wow, this is a good story.
And I went off on a pure rant then.
Yeah, and we have David, sorry, I pronounce Frenchy, who said like your example as to get muddy and express. So that's great. It resonates on others. So cool. Yeah, I think we can see that for the future. And to envision, like, because we have the technology, but how we can use it instead of feeling in competition with CGI and all of that. It's so great to see that it can help the building aspect.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's going to develop. So why not find a way to use it and make it our lives easier?
Yes. And do you have some advice that you could like give to others, like who want, like even like puppeteers who already practice, but beginners also who want to do that, like as you do your day to day, and you live from puppetry? Like, do you have advice for them?
I think if you can afford it, go and intern in for a puppet company, whether that's puppet making or puppeteering, because sometimes intern positions don't pay. Some of them do, but some of them don't. So I think definitely like emailing, getting in the room is definitely a big help. But I mean, I started off creating my own work. I mean, just make things, build things, create miniature shows. I mean, there's all sorts on different websites of funding that you can get to make short films. And I would say just create content, because it takes so long for an idea to become, incredible. Getting started on different ideas is just such a good idea. And just email people and ask them, hi, I've got this thing. I don't know. Just make up some story that I've made this puppet. Can you guys use it? I don't know. There's all sorts of ways you could say things.
Yeah. Wow. This is a good advice. Like to just like send a picture of something you create and just like make them think of you and think of your creativity.
Yeah. Just reaching out to people and let yourself be known. I think that's, and let people know that you're enthusiastic, because as soon as, it's really funny actually, I really wanted to work in film. So I just started letting everyone know I want to work in film. And then one of my friends rang me up, one of my good friends, and said, hey, they're looking for people to work on this film. Do you want to do it? I heard you talking the other week. And I was like, oh my God. So if I hadn't have talked so much about wanting to work on a film, I don't think my friend would have even thought about recommending me, because the job that I got, I wasn't trained in, So being vocal and making actions, I think is just, it's gold. You have to just do things.
This is so powerful that you say that on this podcast. This is like, I think we need those kind of message. We need to just like, let's do it again. Let's create, and you will find your your niche or your brand and just be loud and say what you want to the world.
I don't think as well it matters like how amazing the thing that you've made is or looks, because people just want to see things. I look on Instagram and there's people who are just shooting stuff on their iPhone in like a dim lit room, and it's got loads of likes and comments and stuff, and I don't think it matters about having all this fancy equipment. I think it just matters about creating things and then listening to advice when it comes in. So just not having a big head, basically. You just got to listen to advice from the people that you respect, and then you think, okay, yeah, I can do this better next time.
Yeah, take advice from people you respect. You said it, like people, because you can take advice from people who don't understand what is to drive an artistic career. But if you take the advice from the good people who know what's the job, it's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I want to hear you also. Like we talk about like big purpose, but you talk about epic puppetry. Do you have like a vision of some shows, some epic show on puppetry or some giant stuff? I know you work all sizes, but
yeah, do you know, because obviously I make a lot of animals, and I've puppeteered in elephants and things like that, but I'm curious about hologram and that becoming a thing, and obviously what's good about puppeteers and humans actually operating them is that we are human, so we can make things have that breath, as for a robot can only imitate it to what we tell it to do, basically. But in reactions and things like that, that's all what we do on stage. So I think there may be a thing in the future with hologram. It's because my family are massive Star Wars fans, so I have to say hologram. It's like in my blood to say hologram. But yeah, maybe something like that.
How to appropriate the hologram and like the computer stuff and bring it into puppetry. I think you're right. Will be really interesting.
Yeah, and there's lots of like cool. I remember ages ago I went to an exhibition in London, and it was raining indoors, but if you walked through it, the rain didn't touch you. It was so cool. But that was like a moment of me like not hating technology for once. I was like, oh wow, like this is so cool. I literally walked through a room and didn't get soaked by the rain, but it was pouring it down around me. I mean, yeah, so cool.
Yeah, how like to do story, as you said, with those kind of technology and inspiration. And I feel in UK, I want to hear you also on UK scene, like what you feel it's the difference between Puppeteer from UK, because I interviewed a lot of people from UK a few interviews ago, and I'm just like, those people are really creative. Like, what's make UK artists so connected, and so I want to hear you on that.
I think that one of the reasons why the UK arts is so wonderful is because we have all different people from across the world coming to the UK to teach us. So I can't say it's the UK that's done it. It's sort of all the artists that have flown in and collaborated here and created art, and that's extremely thankful for all different types of art forms that have sort of flown over. Can you repeat the question again, because I'm just off on a little tangent in my head and I don't want to I remember now the difference. Well, if I say puppeteer, everyone thinks the Muppets, which I know obviously is a thing, and lip sync is definitely a thing. But I didn't learn lip sync at drama school. I learned Bunraku and tabletop, and then went into Giants, puppeteering Giants. So I think that's the main difference between a UK puppeteer, from my perspective, is that we don't all do lip sync. We love tabletop theatre, things that are close and suitcase theatre, things popping up in a small space. I think that's very much the thing. And I guess you have to really love theatre to pursue it as a career, because it's so hard to do well in it. So I think you just have to be absolutely bonkers to do it as a career. So maybe that's why we're all creative, because we're the only ones that stick around that just really love it.
Yeah. We need a lot of passion to pursue it and face the reality of it. But I really feel you have a lot of creativity. Like I'm jealous. I want to. I know we have creativity in Canada and in US, but I'm just like, let's cross the ocean and get, like UK Puppeteer, because it's so much talented. And we have a question from the audience. It's the time, people. If you want to ask question to the guests, just put it in the comment if you're live with us. Diane asked, where did you go to school? You said it at the beginning, but maybe you can talk a little bit more about this specific school.
So it's called East 15 Acting School, and it's in Essex. You have to audition to get in. And I did the course physical theatre. So that's, I think, is what really helped me, because I learned all different types of theatre. You know, we did Grotowski and mime and movement and circus that, you know, we touched in. And what actually one of the most helpful things that I learned was devising, creating theatre. And every week we would have I'm trying to remember the name of them. It's called Theatre Cafe. So every Friday evening after school, we would all have created something to show everyone, and then we'd then get feedback. So I think it's actually every 2 weeks we created something. So yeah, that was super helpful, because we were just churning out, you know, short pieces. I think they had to be like 5 to 10, 15 minutes long, something like that. It's very short. But yeah, it's an amazing place. I think if you've got the chance to audition and go there, do it. It was one of the best things I ever did. They bring all sorts of industry professionals over to work with you. And most of, you know, the people that I got taught by, I've now worked for professionally. So, which is so important. Oh, and there's a really good thing as well at the end of the, once you've graduated, you can apply for funding. If you create your own theatre company, you can apply for some funding. So we applied for the funding, and we then got some money to make our first show. So it was literally like straight after graduating, we could then create a theatre company. And what was good is we already had about 20 shows that we'd already created, you know, within the first few months, that we were like, okay, let's try that, but do it better. And it was an amazing school. And the hours were long. We did 9 till 6 every single day. Then we would rehearse in the evenings, and then sometimes on weekends. So it was a really cool school.
Yeah, and it's I know theater school is really like all in. You eat theater. You dream of it. It's really interesting. And you have David to say that sounds like an amazing program. And a Facebook user want to be on the podcast, so you inspire also Chelsey others.
Send a message.
Send message. Yeah, as you said, just ask. So cool. Chelsey, it was so wonderful. I know you are out of town, like you're not at your place, so you don't have any like puppets around to show. But I just had a really nice moment chatting with you, talking about what we love, puppet and puppetry, and like all the spectrum of puppets. It's so like you make us travel towards all of those forms. That's amazing.
Oh good. No, thank you for having me. It's been really, I haven't spoken about, you know, theatre properly like that in ages. I sort of just turn up and do it. So it's nice to talk about the journey of it, really. I forget about all of that when I get the job. I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? So yeah, that's good. Yeah. I don't have a puppet, but I do have a dog, and I feel like I should show her, because you've got a mannequin in the background. So I'm just
yeah. This is the mannequin meeting
The mannequin can meet Spud.
Oh, this is a new kind of puppet, eh?
She's barking at the mannequin. Yeah, no, there's a photo of her on my Instagram, and someone commented saying, "Wow, that is an amazing puppet." I think I replied saying thank you because I wanted to make out like I made her. I mean, she is.
Yes,
She should be a puppet.
Yeah, and she's reading. The reading as you manipulate her is really nice. She looks real.
Yeah. I'm so good at puppeteering this guy.
Yeah, with the tongues. Maybe you have like some robot people around. Wendell the face.
Okay.
It's so cool. Yeah. So we have people commenting. I love this inside. Yes. Thank you. So I will remove you from the screen, Chelsey, but stay in the virtual studio. We can chat a little bit.
Okay.
So I would just conclude. So say bye-bye, everyone, to Chelsey. Bye-bye. What's the name of the dog?
Spud, like the
Spud.
potato.
Yeah, like here, like Spud. So great. Yeah. So yeah, bye-bye, Spud. Bye-bye, Chelsey. Woohoo! And here is the new Puppeteer mannequin. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for watching. And yes, it was so cool to chat and connect both continents all together. So yeah, feel free to ask us if you have some stuff to ask, but also we have this Patreon that we build, and we need to have inspiration. I want to do more workshop over there to help the community. So feel free to write to us. We have a simple email, info@puppetpodcast.com. So yeah, just send stuff and we will answer. So everyone, have a wonderful evening, afternoon. I don't know where you are in the world, but let's stay in touch for another episode of the Puppet Podcast. Bye-bye.